Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brosis YouTube channel. This is a KCJC Sports Talk. I'm your host, Kenwood Connell, and my co-host is.
Well, John, JC Campbell live and direct from Kingston, Jamaica.
I should also let our viewers be aware of the fact that we have a guest host, is none other than Craig Taylor, a former Rossi student. So, John, what's going on in Jamdown on the Rock?
Well, what can I say? I think let me start by saying that the athletic community is indeed in good spirits as we speak, given that boys and girls championships seems to be it's going to be on. We're talking about May 11th to 15th. It's going to be on, although it with a little difference to it this time. The big talk is that we're going to establish a bubble. However big that bubble is, we'll yet to see. A bubble for all the participants, including athletes and officials as well. And it will be a very sterile area where once you come into the bubble, you will be within a confined area. Testing and everything will be there. The regular sterilization of hands and implements, including discus and shots, and so all that will be done within the bubble atmosphere. Of course, there won't be any spectators as such. So that is, what is champs without spectators?
Yeah.
But Craig, you can tell me as a past champion athlete, but that is our reality now,
Yeah, but John, I have to applaud this sports body in Jamaica. I have to applaud them because I got a chance to be able to watch Western Championship today. As a matter of fact, I don't know if it's concluded yet, but it started earlier on today, and I was able to watch a good part of it. I got all the way down to, I think they were down to, I watched last event I watched was the 400-meter hurdle. So next I think it would be something like 200 or so forth going down. But I really want to applaud them based on the fact that, technology is not leaving us behind. And that is something very important as it relates to track and field for us to be able to watch live streaming of Western Championship.
Yeah.
And this is the final one because Central and Eastern and so forth have been held already. So this is the final one. It's 2 weeks before national championship, of course. So I'm very proud of them, and I hope they continue to do that. That add a little bit of my spirit together, boost up my spirit because I was a little bit down that there's not going to be any national champ for me to attend this year. So yeah, that's kind of helped me a little bit because it gives me courage that I know I'll be able to see at least whatever scaled down version of the national championship that they have. Craig?
Yeah, we missed it when it wasn't here last year. Last year my plans was to go to the Penn Relay. I've been going every year, for a period of time now, and then when they shut that down, and it was a disappointment, but I understand the situation. And then this year again is the same thing. So for them to have some kind of championship in Jamaica, even without a spectator, it's still give the athletes an opportunity to go out and to test themselves and see where they are. This is an Olympic year, and we have to start get the athletes in gear, so they can get a feel of where they are. And even the younger ones, it's good to see what they have, and in terms of their performance. So yeah, that's a good thing. Things are getting back, to some kind of normalcy, and that's a good thing. We're not going to see, the full understanding of what we have become accustomed to over the years, but this is a move in the right direction.
Yeah, I remember the last time you were on the program, Craig. You mentioned that training is one thing. Athletes can train, and that's fine. But I remember vividly you said that training is one thing, but competition.
Yeah.
Competition, without that, your training is almost don't make any
exactly.
sense. So I still remember that.
There are many sides to competing. We're fortunate, to be honest with you. we have a system that is even different from the United States of America system as it relates to track and field, because we don't have as many clubs. So a lot of our athletes are able to stay together and compete against each other at a high level. But despite all of that system that we have, we still need a few competition to test and see where we are. So
Yes, absolutely,
we know that,
absolutely.
but it does help us somewhat because we do not have to go out there and compete at as many development meet as other countries do because of the high level competition that we have in Jamaica. But we also got to bear in mind that this year we're going to have a lot. We're going to have a lot of breakthrough athletes coming from um, people that we don't even expect to make the team. For example, in the 100-meter, we have not yet qualified for the relays for the
Right.
Olympics. So you're gonna have to have some breakthrough coming through the club rank, and therefore the competition there has to be very high. I heard about this guy Watson from Petersfield, who is an athlete more like Christopher Taylor, who can run a good 100-meter, a good 200-meter, and a good 400-meter. He's talking about breaking into making the 4x4 team or possibly on the 200 meters. So I would suggest that he stay on the 4x4, however, because it's going to be much more difficult to get into the 200. But yeah, so this gives
No,
them.
no, I'm not sure about that, Ken. I'm not sure about that really, because when I'm looking at the Jamaica the sprinters right now, you can't really count anyone out of it. I haven't seen it from what I'm looking at. I think if a person is performing well, that they have an opportunity, because nobody is really blazing it up in terms of in the men's section to where you can say this is just going to be an automatic spot for any one person. It's not like that right now. I think if we have another 3 or 4 months to go, and 3 months actually. So if you can build yourself up within that time, and you can, I think that you have an opportunity in all of those, in the 200 and 100. There's no clear-cut situation for anyone. And,
I
in the
agree.
women's section, it's a little bit different.
I agree, but I'm saying that
Mhm.
it's better for him to, being he's not a seasoned 100 and 200-meter runner. We know he can run both. As a matter of fact, he won the 100-meter at the Western Championship this earlier on today. But I'm
Mhm.
saying that he's been at 400-meter runner. He's a world champion at 400 meters. So I'm
Mhm.
saying the chances are greater making the 400-meter team. And we do struggle to find a solid team as it relates to the 400. Not so much with the 100-meter and the 200 meters. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm saying it's a better um, opportunity for him to try it
Okay.
in that area. Doesn't mean that he can't break through. That's what I'm saying. We're going to definitely have some breakthrough or some breakout athletes that we didn't even think about. We don't look at Seville is running pretty good. And so forth. We're going to have to depend on them, and they're going to get it down to that 9.8. I'm telling you, I know they're going to get it down to that 9.8.
My
Not
my
expecting, not as a football and so forth.
my only concern though is that given the haphazard nature of the training that we have had, to date, that we don't experience a rush of injuries, when prime time comes around, where it's because of just inadequate preparation, perhaps, I don't know, that we have people now with injuries when it
Yeah.
comes on to crunch time. So I'm very careful about that. I'm going
Luckily,
to be.
luckily in that era, John, we have a safety net because we have several athletes that are doing an outstanding job at Division One level, right? So we actually have a safety net. We can plug people in, and whilst we might not do as the best we could have done with the pro athletes, we're still going to do fairly well because we like I said, we don't have such a great influx of sprinters, especially on the female side. So we do have a safety net, and I'm
Yeah,
not worrying
Yeah,
too
well,
much about
let's see how that goes. We
the
hope for
female
the
side,
best for
Ken.
that.
I think as far as Jamaica is concerned, we're very competitive. We've been like that. The females have been competitive for many years now, and they're going to continue to be that way. In a lot of ways, it's one of those situations where you can give Jamaica the gold medal in the 4x1 as far as the women are concerned. But we got to go. We
Yeah.
got to go out there anyway and do our thing. But that's how good Jamaica female team is right now. Is that they're a favorite to even without running one race yet. They're still favored to win the 4x1. And so, but on the men's side is where I see more problems. The men's side doesn't have the same kind of
it's kind of shaky.
Really shaky, man. They've been shaky for a while now, but
it's just the uncertainty, It's just the uncertainty that
yeah.
We're not too sure where we are, and this is why a good period of preparation and competition would have revealed, what we have. I don't think we're able to see.
Not necessarily
that we have. We didn't see them, so we went back to the same old Asaf for points. Not to say that he's not a good sprinter. And what's the other one? I don't remember his name, but
Blake.
Well, let's see how it go. Yeah. Let's see how it
remember
goes.
though, John, that was Biden who communicated their availability. Remember the coaches that we have in Jamaica. The coaches that we have in Jamaica are very strategic. They'll keep the runners out because they know that the level, especially Francis, he'll keep the runners out from competition just because he knows what they're doing. So that's what I'm saying. I know we're going to have runners that are running competitively.
No.
I know that. At least 3.
But
you can.
I want to ask.
Let me ask you, Ken. When you say competitive, are you talking about in the 100 and 200 meters?
Yes.
For men, you said?
On the male side, competitively. Because remember, for the past how many Olympics, we haven't had no outstanding time in winning the Olympics, last 2 Olympics or so. You know what I mean? If people are running 10-0 something and it's making the semifinals, I'm saying they're going to be competitive. I'm not talking about they're going to be on the podium. I'm saying that we can put out a competitive team.
You see, you think a little bit different from me. For me, competitive is when you're on the podium. Okay, I mean everything is just competing. Okay, there's a difference between competing and being competitive. For me, if you're competing, you just go in there to compete and you're part of the Olympics. And so when you're competitive, is that you're in there to be a chance to make podium. It's just kind of the way I think about this whole thing. I believe that as Jamaican athletes are concerned, we should be competitive. After the stage that Usain Bolt have established, we should have seen more people coming through, the works that are performing at a higher level, that consistently running, low 9.9s and stuff like that, and eventually going into the 9.8. If you get into the 9.8 consistently, then you're gonna be competitive. If you're in the 9.9 sections, then you're gonna be competing.
That's gonna be interesting.
Competing at high level, then it don't matter which way you want to look at it. We are going to be there.
I want to. But before the time is, we have just to say that we have a guest in our waiting room, and before we introduce the guest, just to whet your appetites, we have Mr. Liebert Halliman, renowned football coach, waiting in the wings to join us. But before we get into that, I want to ask Craig and Ken a little question here. There's been some talk recently about athletes using the Olympic platform as a stage to launch protests against a variety of social ills.
Yeah.
What do you say of that? Is this something that should be allowed or something that should be denied? What say you? I will start with Craig since you're our guest.
Yeah, so here I saw that too. I was reading something that I've always believed that I don't like when people believe that if you're an athlete, then you should not have a voice. And the thing about it is that a lot of the athletes that we're talking about that are dealing with these issues, especially when it comes to minorities, it's important to be able to express the things that you support and the things that you're against, to talk about those issues. And we know that this stuff goes back for years. Back when we have back in the 1930s with Jesse Owens when he how the Germany felt about him, and still he went out there and performed. And then in 1968 we saw what happened. So I think that athletes should have the opportunity to raise their fist if they feel like it, and to express something that they believe in. I'm totally against the fact that they're planning. Well, the whole plan is to stop them from doing that this Olympics. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, Ken, what's your thought? What's your take on it?
I haven't read it, but I'm going to give it from my personal point of view. I just think that one of the reasons why Rural Athletics doesn't want to allow that is because of the fact that the purpose of the Olympics game in the first place is to promote peace.
Yeah.
And they do not want anything that would interfere with that harmony that's there as an Olympic game. So I agree with Craig, what Craig is saying. I just don't think it's the correct platform to do that because of what the Olympic game stands for already. The trademark of the Olympic game is that, and so I don't think they're trying to suppress it. I just think that they're saying that is already the trademark of the Olympic Games. So why bring it in? Because it already, that's the purpose of it in the first place, to promote peace, equality, and everything. So I agree with Craig, but I'm just saying I just don't think it's the correct platform for it because of what the Olympic Games stands for already, what it's supposed to be promoting.
Yeah, here's the thing, Ken. I understand what you're saying about that, but the thing is that if you talk about peace, when you come to social justice issues, that this is what these people are talking about. It's like people are saying, shut up and dribble, just play the game and don't get involved in politics. Our life is a part of politics. The violence that we see in the streets when it comes to social justice issues, this is our lives. Sport is a part of it, but it's a small segment of who we are. And so when we go there and we train and perform, we need to express the pain that we experience on the streets on a daily basis. When the Olympics is over, we're back to the normalcy of what our life is like, and this is what we're up against. We're up against issues that are affecting us, that are affecting our forefathers, and it's going to affect our children to come. You see, so it's our duty when we have this opportunity to speak up on these things that are wrong. And sometimes it doesn't seem popular at the time, because like you're saying, it can be disruptive. And sometimes you need to agitate the system in order to get some responses. If you don't agitate the system, you get nothing. People just go on with their lives. If everything seems like peaches and cream, then we just go on with how we see life, and it's not the way we want to continue.
So here's the big question. Here's the big question again.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst you may give people the liberty to express as they see fit, how do you control how much or what is the content of what is expressed? Where do you draw the line to say, oh yeah, you can say this, but you can't say that? You can kneel here, but you can't kneel there. How do you control? How do you establish limits? Because you know how people are. People go up beyond and above what they're allowed because they have the freedom. Freedom comes in responsibility. How do you draw the line? So there is a challenge with all of that.
Here's how I would answer that. That's what I'm saying to Craig. No, the Olympic Games have captured that. They have captured that. Back in the Jesse Owens time, it needed to be captured because you had countries like Germany and so forth that was downright, some of the Russian teams were downright racist. No, that does not exist blatantly in the Olympic game anymore. So there is no need for that. In football, European football, it's in the European football, but it's not blatant in Olympics. You see what I'm saying? So you do it where it's necessary. It's not necessary for the Olympic because the Olympic have a grip on that. That doesn't say there aren't racist people in the Olympics, but it's not out there for you to see. There's always going to be racism and inequality in sport, but it doesn't show its ugly head in the Olympics. It shows its ugly head in things like European football and so forth.
Right. So
right?
What Craig was saying.
There's some stability at the Olympics. That's why it shouldn't be used. So it's going to cause some disruption because there's some stability already.
My thing is that it's not about the Olympics, man. It's about people that are coming from different eras, different countries that are dealing with oppression, that are dealing with systems that are not healthy for mankind, for a certain group of people. So it's not necessarily Olympics. The Olympics is only a platform to express those things so the world can see what's going on. So that's the opportunity to speak. There's no bigger platform than the Olympics to go there and say, this is what's going on in the world. No, check this out. What we see happen in the US in 2020, it was, the reason why it was so obvious is because of COVID. A lot of people were at home watching TV because we weren't able to go out. this is kind of the same thing that the Olympics give you. It gives you an opportunity for the world to see and to hear about things that the people are going through. Because these things are not new. They've been going on for years. And if it wasn't for COVID, George Floyd's situation probably would not have would not probably reach a guilty verdict, because people will be able to see that. And then you have white people, black people, Asian, Hispanic were out there marching because they saw this in front of their eyes. Somebody died, murdered, lynched right in front of their eyes right there. And people start to speak out about it. So sometimes if people don't hear about it, again, it's not about the Olympics. It's about the world. It's about what's going on in people's community.
Yeah, I can probably support you on the point you just made, because as far back as 1968, when Tommy Smith and John Carlos at the Mexico Olympics, when they raised the fist,
right?
It wasn't because of what was happening in the Olympics. It was because of what was happening back home. Martin Luther and Black Pride and social civil rights and so on. So he brought that to the stage. Of course, he suffered for it. I think he got some suffer. I think he experienced some hardships, but I think that resolved that. No, but it's a good point you made. But yeah, all right. I want to bring in our guest now, because we have some other things to talk about with football. So if you don't mind, let me admit Mr. Halliman to the round table. Mr. Halliman, are you there? Let us Coach Liebert.
Pleasant good night.
Yeah, he's there. We don't see no picture though. You need to click on your arm. Let's see some video, man.
Need some video?
Yes. You need to see your, so that the whole world can see your famous face, man. And whilst Coach Liebert, Coach Halliman is getting himself together, let me just give you a little background as to the man. Little resume of successes. Of course, you all know Coach Halliman is one of those coaches that has done remarkably well in the Manning Cup competition from as far back as 1987, when he was the coach of Stats, and they won Manning Cup back then, eh?
And the Costa Cup too.
Yes. And Garvey Massio, he's reminding me, I'm going to give you a chance to speak, So, and then, of course, he coached Excelsior in 2003 and 2004 to titles as well. He also guided Heidel High School to the Walker Cup in 2018. Coach Halliman has coached at Kingston Technical. He has coached, I think he did a stint at Calabar too, and Woolmers, and I gather that Garvey Massio as well. Coach Halliman, we still can't see you.
We can hear you.
You want to start your video. Yes, it seems like you're coming now. Yeah, so an illustrious career in coaching, and I'm sure he has a wealth of information under his sleeves there that would be of much use to the football fraternity. So I'll see wait again on Coach Halliman. Nothing yet, Coach?
Not seen me?
No, not yet. I need a little button on here that says start video. I think you probably should.
Well, yeah, just unmute the video. Yeah.
Here they are, yeah.
Much better.
Start your video. There's a little thing down there.
There's a line across it. To take the line off of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Halliman is also a good friend of our institution. The coach of our institution, Emerson Henry, a very good friend of Emerson Henry, and I think they share some trade secrets, which I'm sure he probably won't disclose at this time. But welcome, Coach. Welcome to the podium. This is the Brothers and Sisters Foundation of Brosis. This is actually a a kind of fundraising effort for Rossi's past students, mostly past footballers, but of course it's open to all Rossi's students, past students. They're trying to raise funds and bring awareness to the need for development of the school in terms of developing a little football mini stadium down there, changing room facilities, training facilities right down there at the campus. So welcome again to the Brosis Sportz Talk, sir.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
I hope I didn't leave out anything in terms of your remarkable accomplishments over the years. I didn't know it had something to do with Gabriel Masio, you said?
Yeah, reach. Carnival knocked us out 1984.
Is that so? I didn't realize that. I didn't remember that.
I won with the Jamaica under 17 CFU.
Right.
93-94.
Right. Yes, I think I remember that a little now as you speak of it. Well, yeah, so welcome again, Coach. We want to start the ball right away because, you know, we are in the time of what they call it's COVID time. And COVID has, as you know, has dampened the spirit, should I say, of sport certainly right across the globe, but particularly here in Jamaica, where we see sports has suffered greatly in terms of, you know, not being able to train, we're not being able to host events. Thank heavens, champs might be going on soon, but albeit without any without any spectators. So we have suffered greatly, and I wanted to ask you as a coach, with this COVID-19 issue, do you even think that we might be able to host a Manning Cup and Dacosta Cup come September? What you know, where do you see that going, given where we are right now?
COVID is here to stay with us for a while, and I don't think we'll have any football this year.
Wow.
Because of the resources and the indiscipline within our society.
Wow.
So I think we'll have to wait another year.
Wow. So you foresee a cancellation of football this year?
That's my view.
But what about the Premier League? I see the Premier League people kind of gearing up themselves as well. They're making pronouncements and shouting around the corner, so they need to be out there playing. What is your take on that, really?
My take is that, as I said before, the resources and the indiscipline, and I don't think these clubs financially, they can accommodate that right now.
Yeah, wow. That's very important thing you just mentioned, because I guess the other question, follow-up question I want to ask. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have introduced Ken. Ken is over there in Chicago, and my co-host Ken, and Craig Taylor is a champion athlete from back in the days. Craig, where are you? Where are you in Florida?
I'm in Chicago, man. I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. Is that right? Chicago. All right. So and of course they're with us. Right. So as I was saying, how do you see? We're not playing any matches. We're not training. How do you see this impacting? What kind of impact do you think this might have, for instance, particularly on the young crop of footballers coming up? So we're out for this season. Let's say we're out for this season. What happens next year? How will that impact on the development of our youngsters, especially, you know?
It will be a big setback. Maybe another 3 or 4 years before you will see any form of retraining start. The reason for this is that, as you know, we are not a wealthy country. And part of our culture is indiscipline. So if the clubs go into a bubble, you're definitely gonna find that players gonna break out and the COVID is gonna creep into the camp.
Yeah.
And that's how I view it. And you know, John, as a Jamaican, you see the struggle the government is having at this moment in trying to get everything in order.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
I see what you're saying. But again, I'm here thinking that, okay, let's say, for instance, that a glimmer of hope that the schoolboy season we could have had it in September. As a coach, and given that we have been having the COVID issues and so on, what kind of training would you be doing during this time? How could you be trained when we can't gather as a group? We can't jump up and do piggyback and all these things. What could you be doing with a group of youngsters in preparation for even a spectator-free competition come September? What could you be doing, you know?
Well, the boys could be going to the gym and doing physical. You each play a program. Hopefully, you'll be able to monitor it. And comes early September, they will be ready. Because you have June, July, and August for your preparation.
Because
at the same time, if the school have the necessary resources, you could keep them in camp, because you know in the rural areas a lot of the boys do camping.
Right.
You have to be monitored on a daily basis.
Yes. And that takes a little bit of cash to keep boys in camp in terms of food and clothing, and well, not clothing, but housing and bedding and things.
Well, the bedding is always there. I just think is the nutrition and
is
monitoring.
Monitoring. Ken and Craig, feel free to jump in at any time.
I have a question for you. So when we look at rural athletics, they pretty much set certain standard that every country got to meet in order for them to have a track and field meet. And that those protocols were even followed at Western Championship, which was held today, whereby, like John was saying earlier on, they sanitize even the discus and the shot put, and they sanitize even the sand that they're jumping in. Okay, my question to you is, does FIFA have a set of protocols that these high schools could use so that they can resume some form of training? Was any protocol outlined by FIFA to our local federation?
Yeah, well, FIFA would do that to our federation, and the federation in turn would monitor the schools.
But if there one in place right now,
it is pretty easy. It is pretty easy when it comes to cricket and athletics. In football, it is totally different. Totally. Because a contact sports. I personally feel if the government and the schools, ISA, come forward with a plan, I think the football can be played.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing with the football. You know, I was in Jamaica, a month and a half ago or so. And when I was down there, you know, people were saying to me that I should not take the vaccine. You know, it's too late because I already took my both vaccines, one in December and one in January 7th. So the thing about it though is that before the vaccine, I didn't have a lot of confidence in socializing. But you know, I don't know what with the vaccine, I feel a lot more comfortable. Now, I don't know what's going on with Jamaica. I think that if they have the opportunity to vaccinate, or if people want to vaccinate, which I think that's the only way to actually get stuff back to some degree of normalcy, is if you have athletes that can get, if they have the opportunity to be vaccinated, then you can start to establish a program in terms of competing. But I don't know how much resources they have towards getting the vaccine in the country. Now, from my perspective on what I'm looking at, the only way we're gonna get back to some degree of normalcy is to have some kind of vaccination program and to have some degree of herd immunity. If you don't have immunity, people are gonna continue to get sick and people are gonna die. So for sports to get back to some normalcy, that's what's gonna have to happen.
Totally agree.
Testing alone cannot do it. If you test a person, it's not stopping anyone from getting sick. Eventually people need to be vaccinated. So if the high school can be vaccinated, they can play.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but in Jamaica, you see it is so difficult to even get people of our age group the vaccine, much less the younger ones who doesn't believe in it.
it's all
So
about
you will have
education.
to go through an educational program,
Yeah.
and it's going to take some time.
But here's the thing that I think in Jamaica. Young people want to play. Young people want to play sport. Okay? That's what we do. When we're young, we want to interact. It's a part of development. It's a part of who we are. We want to compete. And even though there might be some resistance towards that, and you're going to have to get approval from parents in order to get young people to be vaccinated.
True.
But parents want the kids to play also, and so these children who are going to miss these opportunities to play, they're losing a lot. These kids are losing a lot. They're going to get left behind in many different ways in terms of their ability to compete and in terms of education, because people are suffering emotionally because of these situations. So they're suffering physically,
Mentally.
academically, and emotional, because of what's going on now with COVID. And if we can bring back something into their life to excite them somehow, and not only the players, but the fans who want to watch these kids play. This is a big part of what we do. We know that football in Jamaica is the biggest thing outside of when it comes to the Olympics with track and field. Okay, when I was a kid growing up, it was football. When football comes to Rossi, everybody, when we go into a game, the whole town is empty. You can walk into a bank and take what you want. Okay? There was nobody
Like a national holiday.
Okay, yeah, that's what we do. And so in every little town that you have a school that's in playing football, the community support that, and the community want them to play. So we have to try to educate. We have to try to find the resources. We only have 3 million people. Okay, so we have to find a way to educate people that the vaccine is the only way that we're gonna get back to some normalcy.
Okay, Craig, we are
Yes.
number 3 in the world in track and field. You agree?
In terms of
Jamaica is number 3 in the
I don't
world
wanna-
where track and field is concerned.
okay, number 3, I'll go with
And
that.
we are having such a struggle to have a track meet. Just think
Yeah.
about that, as opposed to football.
Yeah.
True, that's true. I understand the whole thing.
See,
Um,
I don't think
but
the
I-
government, I don't think they're selling the vaccine enough, because, I'm not one of them people who want to force somebody to take the vaccine. But here's what is happening when you don't take the vaccine, especially in a country like Jamaica. It's going to put more and more strain on the healthcare system. So it's best for them to do it as soon as possible, because the longer they stay, the worse it's going to get. And until the government go there and preach that to people for them to understand, it's a matter of educating. You got to educate people. If they don't, it's going to get worse and worse.
I
Ken,
totally agree with you. But at the same time, I'm saying to you, look how difficult it is for the government to get it started. It's just 50,000 out of probably 2.9 million people.
yeah,
So it is very difficult. And I'm saying to you, we are number 3 in the world, and every single individual in Jamaica knows that. And it was so difficult to get a track meet off.
Yeah.
and I don't understand why that happened. But listen to this, though. I remember growing up, before you could go to primary school, you had to get a vaccination. That's the reason why I have that big mark on my shoulder, okay? Because I was getting vaccinated, okay? My right shoulder and my left shoulder have a mark. Everybody from the Caribbean have one of those marks.
But what I'm saying,
Yeah,
all the musicians, if they want to go to Africa, they take it. Everywhere that they want to go and you need a vaccine, they take it. So
Yeah.
I can't understand why they don't want to take it in their country.
Yeah. Again, may I just chime in here? And this is where I want to use the word propaganda. And this is one of the disadvantages now of social media.
Exactly.
Where social media provides the perfect medium for the discharge of ignorance from all kind of sources. Ignorance that sometimes does so well with the most vulnerable among us, the people who don't really know, where you get to hear a thing and you just run with it kind of thing. And as Mr. Hallman rightly said, we have a major problem when it comes down to self-discipline. We have that problem. We can be great. We're great, in terms of performance, in terms of athleticism, music, culture, but we have a little inherent indiscipline that sometimes work against us, you know, and I think we have to curb that as we move forward. And just to add that the government has been doing their fair share of education of the public in terms of, you know, informing them of the benefits of the vaccine, the need for the washing hands and the separation of you know, what you call it, being distant, the distance.
Yeah.
They've been saying that. You know, I've heard this every day. But up to recently, you know, the police raided a dance.
But the last night
was in full swing, you know. And so these are some of the issues that we have to deal with. And when you talk about footballers are not necessarily from the, I'm trying to search for the word, but let me be frank. The majority of our footballers come from working class situations, you know, and that is, I think, where most of the indiscipline would reside in terms of what people say and what people do and who influences what and so on. So it's indeed a challenge, you know. It's indeed a challenge. I want to move on though to something that we were talking about last week, and I think Ken might chime in here. Your views on the European Super League proposal that was trashed against the wall recently. Ken, you want to back me up on this one? But it's that's what I want to hear. What
well, I just would like to hear what Coach, what his view on it, based on what is happening. I think Coach, you know the reason for all of that, yeah, already. It's pretty much a monopoly that they wanted to bring forth to the Europa League, and they, of course, they didn't take into consideration the power of the spectators. The spectators they were not counted at all. It was just about the big pocket investors, hedge fund, you know, investment bankers, and so forth. And I don't know if you know anything about the Glazers, but the Glazers, they're big investment, they're big investment firms, and so they were behind it. And if you notice, the teams, from England that were involved in it, those are the richest club in England. You know, so just like we said last week, it was all about money. And you know, John said something last week that is very important. Now, one thing that happened again is that I think his name is John Glazer. He never put his name on anything really. He's always in the back, you know, in the backbench financing everything. But now his name is on it. He endorsed this. So I'm wondering, you know, when you think about how tough this guy is, it's not dead. Like John said, it's not dead. I think it's going to come back up again. So I think what they're trying to do in Europe right now, they're trying to get rid of him out of the European ownership totally, or to reduce his ownership as it relates to Manchester United. So let's have your take, and then I'll come back after that.
Do you think it was a good move, Mr. Halliman? You think it was useful? Would it have been beneficial to football to have what I call a Super League, they call it?
Yes.
Yeah, or not? Do you think it should have been the top teams among themselves? What do you think?
Well, if they remove the Europa League and still play in their National Premier League, I don't have a problem with that, because you must understand, these millionaires put their money in, and COVID has taken away a lot of it. So I figure they want back some more of the money. So this is why they propose such league. And if you notice, since Europe has increased the purse, UEFA has improved. So I just figure that they need back their money.
Yeah.
And they had to do something in order to get back some of their money.
Yeah, very interesting though, because but it's interesting though how public opinion kind of shifted the system, you know, kind of had its impact, you know, that's what the public would have felt, you know, public opinion.
I think the fans believe that they would move away
Right.
Playing their domestic leagues.
Yeah, right, exactly. You know.
I think such a league, I would love to see all of those teams together.
Yeah, certainly.
But
at what cost, though, you know?
If they play such a league, like on a Wednesday, and they play the Premier League on Saturdays and Sundays, I don't have a problem with that.
Coach, it wasn't going to happen, though. It wasn't going to happen at all. See, here's the reason why it wouldn't happen. See, this is pure monopoly. You know, it's a one-shop, a closed shop situation. So here's what you would do to football. You're taking away from the history of the UEFA League and the history of European football, whereby you have the rich clubs, the 6 rich clubs, okay? They're permanent fixtures in the Super League, right? So a team like Sheffield United that doesn't have a lot of money, they could go and beat Manchester United, right? No, if they have the Super League, there is no chance that a team that doesn't have money can beat one of these teams. So it's good for competition, but it's not good for the sport. If you want to see more competition, then that's good, high level competition. But what about the spectators? You know what I mean? That was designed strictly for monopolies, for the rich guys to make money. It wasn't designed for the fans at all.
I agree with you, but I'm sure you'll be seeing better football with those top teams playing each other. The quality will be much better. But what I'm saying, they must play in their Premier League. So Sunday you play Premier League, and Wednesdays you play a Super League.
Good sign. That's a good sign to tell you it wasn't all about spectators. It was all about international bookmakers and high-level investors. That's a good point to make. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have selected midweek game. Now, here's what, you notice that Germany wasn't a part of it, right? The reason why Germany wasn't a part of it is that Germany has a restriction on that. It's called the 50+1 rule. And what the 50+1 rule is, it's formed like a unit of business organization whereby the monopolists cannot come in and win. Because first of all, pretty much the spectators own 50% of the shares, +1, which is the company. Because, you know, if you have a company and you have 19, pretty much the company is considered a separate entity from the shareholders. So if you have 50+1, that means that the spectators will always have majority vote, right? So then
you must remember that FIFA is in control, you know. So for that league to go on, FIFA would have to vet it.
Wait, but FIFA was against it too. FIFA was totally against it too.
Right away, it's going nowhere. Once FIFA does sanction it.
Yeah.
Right. And don't get me wrong, there is corruption in FIFA also. We know that. There is corruption in FIFA also, but
be careful.
Going down that franchise road is not good for football.
No.
You know, it may be good for sports in America, but not for Craig.
I said to you, these rich guys lose a lot of money and they want some way, somehow. It's business for them.
It's business first. Business first. You can see it.
They want to recover their money.
It's business first.
I don't think they lose a lot of money. I think they didn't make as much money like they used to. That's what it is. They didn't lose any money. They didn't make as much money. They're trying to make more money, and that's why, because that's the direction that sports is going in. We mentioned that last week. Sports is going into, even if you don't want to bring in monopoly in sport, then international bookmakers is taking over. It is slated to, or it's predicted that within a couple of years, that gambling is going to earn more for sport than TV, broadcasting, right, and advertisement. Right? Yeah. So that's the difference.
So right.
But you can't merge.
Have you checked with the cricket?
Exactly.
Just to tell the condition of the pitch, the bet on that. Who's going to bowl a no ball and which over and which bowler. It's all in the bookmaker's hands.
Wow, amazing stuff. Yeah, amazing stuff, eh?
But coach, I want to ask you also. I'm sure you're watching the UEFA Championship. My prediction is that Chelsea is going to win. I want to know what team are you with right now? I watched all. I mean, the semifinals. I mean, that was such. It's high quality football, very high quality football.
My team is a no good team.
Is what?
My team is a no good team.
Which one is that?
They cried everybody cried Arsenal. They cried for Wenger to go. And since Wenger.
What you talk about? Arsenal? Arsenal is not even in it anymore. They've been knocked out a long time ago.
So
no, I'm talking about in the semi-final.
I think Man City will go all the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think Conte can produce another game like what he did the other day.
Yeah. One of those
For corners of the field, he was in charge.
You don't think one of the technician, from Real Madrid and Chelsea is going to win? You think if Pep has the best technician then, huh?
I think the final will be Chelsea and Man City.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Good, because I picked Chelsea to make it to the final too. But you know what happened? It's going to be real stiff competition. For example, yesterday's match between PSG and Manchester United. PSG dominated the game for the first half. But because
for 90 minutes.
Because Pep is such a good technician, he made
it play for 90 minutes
back and ended up winning the game. You know? So I think that now I start looking at PSG and I'm starting to think, man, you guys have Neymar and you have Mbappe and you got all these good players. I mean, the Brazilian defender, what's his name again? But the Brazilian defender, but he's playing so good also. And yet you can see that quality coaching is what counts, because right now you look at Thomas Tuchel for Chelsea, and you look at what's his name from Real Madrid, from France. Come on, guys.
Zidane.
Zinedine Zidane. And they're technicians. And those are the teams that are, when you look at this the game and the solid plays in the game, PSG looked like they got lost in the second half of the game totally yesterday.
No, it was just simple. And here's where coaching come in.
Right.
Man City take one step forward and close.
Yeah.
And the game was over.
Yeah.
They didn't get to play.
Yeah, but there are some who still believe that PSG is going to come back because of the quality players that they have. But I think this game is down to coaching now. It has nothing to do with individual players anymore.
You can't leave France and come to the Etihad and expect to win.
Let me chime in here again, because I want to segue now back to schoolboy football, because there's talk about local football we're talking about here, where people are saying that maybe it's time for us to have a tiered system in schoolboy football. I mean, you have one side going up and get on another side and getting 10 love. Another side getting 7, 8 love and all these things. People are saying, but that don't make sense. That don't make sense at all. In fact, that is not even good for the development of the better team. That we probably should have a system now where the top teams, or those perceived as the top teams because of, historical relevance or whatever, play against themselves. The lesser teams play against themselves and get promoted to the top tier as time goes. What's your opinion on all of this?
All right.
Coach?
School, you're a student first and an athlete after.
Okay.
And the two tier can be played. But after you decide the Manning Cup and the DaCosta Cup, you take the best from the DaCosta Cup and the best from the Manning Cup, and you play that league.
But is what they call the Super Cup, or the Super Cup?
Yeah, that's how it should be played. Because I'm saying this is that, John, there's a lot of schools being upgraded, and this is why football is watered down. So what you need to do is to play that competition You eliminate the weak teams and you put the best of the best together.
But here's the challenge now. So once you eliminate the weak, they play maybe 1 or 2 games and that's it. They play 1 or 2 games for the season and that's it. They're out because they've been eliminated.
No. The Super League only to extend the competition to go into January.
Okay.
Right? And if you have the top 10 rural teams against the top 10 urban team, 4 zones of 5, winner of each zone pay. You can play home and away too.
I have a question, Coach. Are you saying that this should be the introductory stage or this should be the format throughout?
No, well, you use it as an intro for the first year and to see how it works.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
then you move from there.
Gotcha.
Because your time at school, you used to have a PE teacher, right?
Yes, sir.
PE, I think you only do PE up to 3rd form now. So even if a boy comes in the school from a junior set school, you're not able to see him. So I think we should have the regular competition and then you separate after that.
So you know, everybody play everybody, basically.
Yeah.
And then you separate the
John, what side do you take, John? Because I know what side Craig is on already, and I'm ready to jump all over him. So
what Craig is saying. Let's hear what Craig has to say.
I already prepared for Craig already. So, but what side do you take, John? Because I don't want me a coach to be beating up on Craig, and you are on the, you can't be neutral. You got to take a side. Are you for or against?
No. I'm saying to myself that I don't know if it's useful for top flight or top graded teams to be playing such lower grade teams. I don't see it does anything for their development at all. You know, I think top grade teams should be playing against top grade teams. You know, and then you can eliminate among top grade teams. Give lower grade teams a chance to play against lower grade teams more often. You know, I think it's better for development. That's what I'm thinking.
Very much so. Very much so. Coach, tell him to take notes because me and you go and dissect this whole thing. Craig, what's your take on that?
Yeah,
So, Ken,
let's hear from Craig.
I hope that you're well prepared, Ken, because I don't know how you're gonna be able to diffuse what I'm gonna tell you right now. Okay.
Right. Go ahead.
So I don't believe in the 2-tier at all because I think that we already had a 2-tier before and it didn't work. So let me tell you what the 2-tier was before.
I know if we did.
Yeah, we did when we were at secondary school. Okay.
That's a different thing, man.
Oh, that's not 2-tier. That's different.
No, that's a different thing.
You might not call it 2-tier, but that's what it was. Okay. You had secondary school that now are high schools now. Okay. And so what coach was talking about is that yes, because you have all these schools are high school, the quality of the game is not quite the same. Like when you had one high school in Hanover that was Brosis, and one high school in Westmoreland which was Manning's, and one high school in St. Anne which was Yarcastle, you know, and then you have one in St. James which was Cornwall College, and the same thing goes on and on where you have 2 in Clarendon which was Veer and Clarendon College, you know. So now you have all these schools, okay, and I think what I'm hearing from Jack is that it's too many, you know. So you have the quality is not quite the same because you have such a large number of schools now and the talent is all spread out. So, and I know when I said the secondary school is, you guys say it's not a tier system. Yeah, I get the point that it's a different school category altogether, but that's what it was. You had the high schools that were doing that were playing in these what you call a more competitive thing, whether it was track and field, whether it was football or cricket and netball and go on like that. Okay. So, but then you can't just look from it from the sport point of view, because I think the biggest issue here is psychological. Is the psychological effect that bears down on young people when you put them in different segments. This is not a professional thing where people have gone through a system and they are more mature and able to deal with certain rejection. Okay, you have young people that are gonna be affected psychologically from any kind of tier system that they have when they're cast out into a different category. You know, so I can tell you from my experience that, you know, I remember from the country, going from the country and going into Kingston, to work out at the stadium. When you first go there and you say, where are you from? I'm from Lucy, I'm from Manova. And people kind of look at you in a different kind of way. And you have to kind of prove yourself. If you have enough talent and competence, then you're able to prove yourself and you maintain. It's not always like that for every student, especially when you come from a country school and you're going to compete with these schools in Kingston, or you're competing with schools that are in a different tier. If you want to have a tier system, you feel there's a lot of insecurity. So it's not just the physical aspect of a person performing, because the physical aspect, yes, if you have skill is one thing, but the psychological effect over a longer term, a lifetime effect that it have on people's mind when they're placed into systems like that.
Let me chime in quickly before I forget this point. So it's, bear in mind though, it's not an automatic thing because you are Calabar, you're automatically put in the top tier.
Exactly.
Right? It could be that Calabar, because of how they performed this year, has been relegated to the whatever second league thing. They have to now play their butt off to get back into the top league. So it's not a matter of just your address, because you name Edith Dalton or because you name whatever, then you're automatically cast in the lower league. No, nothing like that. You earn your way, you gain your way up based on your performance of last year or the year wherever. So John, it's not automatic,
But I'm getting your point on that, John. But John, let me try not touch on what you're saying there, because what you're saying is not theoretically it's true, okay? But when it comes to the real life situation, it's not, because Calabar is gonna be in that tier, the top tier, because of the resources that they have, because of the Old School Boys Association. They're gonna be there. KC's gonna be there. Okay, JC's always gonna be there, and Georgia's gonna be there. Just like how you're gonna have Russell's there, you're gonna have Cornwall College there, and you're gonna have Clarendon College there, and you're gonna have State there. Okay, these schools are gonna be there. Now it's a lot of schools now that are breaking out from someplace sometime that are gonna be missing. These schools that excite us every year when we're watching Doncaster Cup, and you have a team that come from nowhere and say, "Which team is this?" And they end up beating Russell's, or they end up beating Cornwall College, and we start to smile, okay? Because I don't smile when they beat Russell, but I smile when they beat Cornwall College, okay? I'm telling you, I like those little teams that are from some little corner place somewhere that you don't hear much about, and all of a sudden they come out with some power and they play, and then you might not hear from them again for another 2 or 3 years or 4 years, but they're still there. These are things that I love about football in Jamaica, about high school football. It's the fact that we have all these schools now.
Go ahead, Coach.
Great.
Yes, sir.
A couple years ago, JC was nowhere around. They got the resources, and you see what has happened.
Yeah.
They even go to Russell's, Cornwall, and take the players back to Kingston, and they live for 1 year. They live in Beverly Hills and Mona Heights.
Yeah.
Everything is being paid. The small schools cannot do that. So you have to be careful of this tier, because you might end up with the professional leagues in the schools.
Exactly.
And really, even now, I'm not satisfied, because you have under 14 and under 16. Now, when a young chap comes into a school at 12, and he's not getting a game, and to show his talent, it will be a setback for him.
Exactly.
So this is why I think every school should be played then you separate. Can you imagine a double-header? Rossi's, KC, Cornwall, Georges at Jared Park in the Super League? Yeah. That is what we should build. The best of the rural gets the best of the urban.
No,
that's right. That's right.
Here's my answer to that, Craig. I understand we talk about a psychological effect, but there's already a tier system in every high school in Jamaica, right? When I was going to school, it's 7-1, 7-2, 7-3, 7-4, right? But there's already a tier system there that's number one within the school system. So if we're going to look at it from the psychological effect, what happens here is that it creates fair competition, right? Fair competition leads to what? Better development, right? That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for entertainment. We're looking for how can we better develop the youngsters, right? say for example, my question to you, Craig, example. So if you use a tier system, will this encourage a better maturing young star who is coming out of elementary school to continue the same process in high school? But if that individual is going into a school whereby they're going to get 6 love, that individual might get what? Discouraged and quit, right? So you have to do something that's going to develop the talent that's coming from elementary school. Now, a tier system would encourage that continuous development. And maybe that's why JFF, and maybe that's why it's the Custer Cup and Manning Cup is looking into this, because it's not about all of that. It's about how can we fill the gap that are the holes that we're finding in the development of our youth in football. How can we fill?
I don't know if you seem like you're only talking about football, but I'm talking about sports in general. You know, 2 years ago I went to Pennsylvania, okay, and I saw Russies, which was not a common thing for Russies to be there, and I saw Petersfield, okay, and Petersfield I think finished second in the 4x I think it was a 4x800 or something like that, or 4x I think 4x4, yeah, 4x800. I think they finished second or something, you know. And I said to some people that were sitting there, I said, all those guys that are on that team at Petersfield are going to be going to Calabar next year, okay? So that's what happened when you have schools, you know, that have developed these athletes, and we have seen it all the time. You know, these athletes have developed in smaller schools, and you know, and then when they get to a certain level, they are pulled away by the bigger schools. Okay, you know, so you know, you'd find a lot of that happening, Ken. So that same young man that you're talking about, you know, if he's a star in his school, okay, and then you think that he might get discouraged because he's getting 6 love, you know, I don't know if he's gonna be discouraged or not. But what I know is gonna happen is that somebody's gonna recognize him. At least they're gonna see him. Okay, he might go to another school where he don't even get a chance to play. He's good at his school, but he goes to another school and he's coming off the bench or he's sitting on the bench. He's not getting an opportunity to play. But I know if he stay at his school, they're gonna see him. Somebody's gonna see him play. You know, this is what happened in track and field. You know, the difference in track and field is an individual sport, and the only thing that matters is what you do. And once you do it, nobody can say it didn't happen. Okay, when you run a time, that's your time, and no matter where you come from, you know, even though we have seen, you know, and I hate to call Herb McKinley out, I've seen, you know, with Herb McKinley back in the days, that people would still get pushback when they were coming from what you call so-called country school, and the guys that were in Kingston would get the opportunity, even though you're running a better time, you know, from a country school. So yeah, you know, there's some sabotage to that, and I want people to be seen. If you come back from Timbuktu, I need for you to play for Timbuktu and show yourself.
Again, I am trying to figure out here, because so you have a team, for instance, they're playing the Costa Cup or Manning Cup. They play against a team and they get 6. All right, good. They play another match and they get 8. And that's it, they're out. First round or whatever. Are you saying that is encouraging to that group of guys?
Because players are going to become frustrated and they're going to quit.
That's my point. Whereas, if, okay, so I play against that side and I get 2. I play against another side, we draw 1-1.
Okay, but listen, but John.
1 love.
But John.
Because, you know, they're evenly yoked, so to speak.
Yeah,
John.
So you give me 8.
Let's
give me 8. You give me 6 again and 7 again.
But John,
I don't want to play no more.
No, that's not true, John. Let me tell you why it's not true. In 1979, in 1979, Russies beat Herbert Marson 15 love. You know, and I love that game. It was in the rain, okay? Wormers have scored about 7 goals, okay? And so, you know, and then Herbert Marson, somewhere down the line, becomes Custer Cup champion.
1988.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah, you know, they become Custer Cup champion. They didn't quit. They just came into Custer Cup, and they were new into the Custer Cup, and they got 15 love in 1979 from Russies. Okay,
and you think that's a good thing?
And they beat Russies in 1988.
And they beat Russies in 1988. You see what I'm saying? You know, yeah. You know, so I'm saying that these schools.
Coach will attest to this, though, Craig. What I'm saying is that the tier system does not create what you're talking about, because there is a merit system from the lower level that we're talking about. Remember again, like what John said, it's not just non-traditional high school that's going to fall in the lower group. It's even traditional high school like Campion are one of those schools who doesn't qualify for that high level play. What I'm saying, no matter what you look at, you have to look at a big part of, is it going to cause some players to quit? Remember, coach will tell you, there is not one of these teams that you're talking about that is catching anybody by surprise. It's just because you haven't heard of them. But coach will tell you, any one of these teams that you're talking about have been developing gradually. That system would better serve those schools, right?
Ken, I don't agree with
the process. It was speed up the process.
2 or 3 years ago, some school named something under the gully from, I think, from Manchester. I don't know what the name is. Mile Gully beat Brosis. Beat Brosis 2-1, okay? And then move forward.
Doing good the year before. That's what I'm saying. It's not sudden. If they were doing good the year before.
It was a shocker to my soul, and I've been following the thing, and it was a shocker to a lot of people who support Brosis.
Psychologically, you're thinking only about the traditional high school. There are some non-traditional high schools that are doing very well. You got to listen to the entire program, not just the traditional.
So here's my point, Ken. Yes, the people who are relegated, okay? You're not thinking about the psychological effect that's going to have on them. You're just thinking that if they get 6 love, then that's a psychological effect. But what about the teams that are regulated down to the tier 2? What about the psychological effect that it's going to have on those kids to know that, listen, I'm not motivated because I'm not in the top league.
That's where coaching comes in. That's where coaching and motivation comes in.
And there's motivation because there is a merit system. There is motivation because there's a merit system to get back up to the second tier.
That's where coaching comes in.
That's not coaching, though, John. That's not
sports psychology. That's sports
psychology.
You know that.
Sports psychology, not the coaching, okay? Because the coaching is trying to develop the kids for the physical ability and some mental ability, but the emotional and the psychological effect that are there, you're gonna need therapists to assist them through that process.
That's what we're saying.
We don't have those resources in Jamaica to provide therapy to young people to say, this is why you're here, and this is why you need to be motivated to continue to do well.
Are your coach saying something? Sorry?
Resources is not here. And the bigger schools, the KC, the JC.
Exactly.
Once they see a player from down Ochi or somewhere around,
I'm gone.
6 love and 1 player on that team.
But
is a good player.
Put restriction in place to prevent that. You can put restriction in place to prevent that. You can't.
They have done so. They have to
sit out a year. No, they are going. If you look in the track and field, a lot of the athletes are now coming from the Caribbean countries, islands, straight into the school.
That's right.
Participate right away. Why the young man who is leaving Georges to KC have to sit out a year? I don't agree with that.
That's right.
And I'm saying the powerhouse will always prevail.
That's right.
The Cornwall, the Herbert Morrison, they will always prevail.
Yeah.
And they prevail because of a very robust and active past students association.
Exactly.
Look at JC.
Because right now, this is the Super League. This is the Europa League you want to form. The Super League.
Yes, man. Yes.
No. All right. I think that's a nice way to end. I think we're running out of time now. Ken, you want to say the last words in terms of? I want to thank Coach.
Yes, Coach.
And everything.
It's a pleasure to have you. We hope that you will continue to do your good work back there in Jamaica, and we look forward to having you again on our program because we have a long way to go. This discussion is not done.
Once is Rossi's, anytime.
Here you go.
Rossi's comes to Kingston, I'm in charge.
Well said.
Hey, nice talking to you.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Coach. Thanks. Nice talking to you.
Folks in America and folks in the Caribbean and folks.
Hopefully we'll be back soon.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
After champs, we will be back.
Okay, and again to our audience, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and put in your comments. And once again, we want to say thank you for being in the audience, and We look forward to joining up with you again next week. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, man. Peace out, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Thanks, coach.